The last name. I represent Key and Vulnerable Population Forum Tanzania. And of course, nothing for us without us. Sisi ndio hard to reach. They said that. Wagumu kufikiwa. But we are here together. So let us see. I'll talk about KVP Forum Tanzania. KVP Forum Tanzania was created to coordinate interests of all KVP Tanzania with the matters related to HIV/AIDS prevention, care, and treatment. And it was created in 2018, and this is because there was a need to do this. So the forum was there to make sure that this intervention, HIV prevention, care, and treatment are being implemented accordingly. Currently, KVP Forum Tanzania, we have more than 70 KVP community-led organization members in all regions in Tanzania. When I talk about KVP, I mean from the definition of Tanzania guidelines. We have guidelines which mostly centered on KVP, so let us refer from the definition. The forum was formed to support efforts done by technical working groups, which are coordinated by NCP, TACAIDS, and the CEA, and it works hand in hand with the government and stakeholders to implement 2030 national HIV targets, the 3 95s and 3 zeros. As you can see, there's a diagram there, shows how KVP Forum works and how it is cooperating with other people who are taking initiatives to make sure that this HIV prevention, care, and treatment intervention are being implemented accordingly. We have government over there, we have IPs, KVP-led organization, healthcare workers, and community influencers, RSMGTs, CHMTs, and non-led organization, USAID, CDC, UN agents, and healthcare workers. Also, there are visions and missions, as you can see. So why KVP Forum Tanzania? We want to make sure, or to ensure that Tanzania programs benefits, engage, and improve the health of all KVP, including underrepresented constituents. Yes, it is really hectic thinking like we are hard to reach. So we thought there's a need, if these HIV and AIDS issues are being implemented and they see that they cannot get us, they cannot reach us. So the KVP Forum was formed to make sure these beneficiaries of these programs are being benefits effectively and improve their healthy and being presented by constituents. Also to make sure, to ensure behavioral change is taking place in public health perspectives, SBCC. We have challenge when it comes to implement public health issues targeting KVPs, especially behavioral change. Most of the IPs are forgetting that they are there for public health issues and trying to turn people to something else. We have seen this through the supportive supervision, which was undertook by the KVP Forum last year. People are receiving funding and they do something else instead of public health issues related to HIV prevention, care, treatment. They do something else. we saw this, and we took some initiative to make sure that they do things accordingly. It's not that every intervention that you are going to propose for a certain group of KVP will apply to the other group. For example, people who inject drugs cannot compare to men who have sex with men. You can take a person who injected drugs to methadone and turn to somebody else, but you cannot change something biological to something else. We have transgender community. They are being forced to look like somebody else. So it's quite different. I've shown this, you can see the picture over there. The picture shows changes, a very big change. That is one person. That is one person. So if we have different kind of interventions, depends on the group, then we will achieve. So to provide coordination, we also, KVP Forum is there also to provide coordination at national and district levels. We are in different committees, and also we are there to provide, to make sure that KVP-led organization forums, we are advocating to ensure healthy and well-being to all KVP at all levels, from district to national levels. We have been going around Tanzania and through supported supervision and visiting district, and also we take the feedback to the national levels through Ministry of Health, and it's a part of it. We have some success of the KVP Forum Tanzania. These are just some of them. We have a lot. The forum was able to conduct supportive supervision in 16 regions in 2020, in 2021, 2022. In this supervision, the forum was able to improve program efficiency altogether. Yes, we did it. We're going through all Tanzania to see how the implementing partners who are targeting KVP, they are doing. Are they implementing their activities according to guidelines, or they are still creating some problems? That was the question we were asking ourselves. Are they creating problems, more problems, so that they can get more funding, or are they solving problems? That was our issue. So we decided to go through, and of course we discovered some issues around there. So in this supervision, the forum was able to improve the program's efficiency altogether. Of course, yes, there are some places whereby they say that the program is there targeting some of the program. For example, you might find in a region there's a program targeting people who injected drugs. And they invested a lot, and they just left I don't know what research they are using or databases, so that they take a program at a certain place to another place. This is very challenging. Some of their places, the targeted groups are not there. There's other groups belongs to that place. So it was an issue. So to also, we have succeeded to coordinate different programs, including spearhead the use of KVP-led organization to receive and implement KVP-led organization. Yes, of course, through KVP Forum, through the commendation we did, more than 12, almost 15 KVP-led organizations have been trusted to receive fundings, for implementation from multiple donors, including PEPFAR and Global Fund. Also participating and lead in the core processes for all the civil society organizations CSO in Tanzania for 2 times in row. Yes, for some of the CSO who are in here, they might witness that we have been leading the processes, engaging other stakeholders, engaging other CSOs in different levels to make sure that the country operational planning is there to make sure that our needs are being included, and nothing left behind. Also, we participated a lot in parliamentary committees meetings in relation to a new, for example, this year we had we participated in a meeting. We went to meet our parliamentary committee. This is the selected committee on HIV, TB, and substance abuse. We went, I think it was in April. So we went there to present our constituents, to present issues. And imagine, they said that we are politicians, we don't know anything. You just tell us what is going on there. We are not scientists, we are politicians. When you are in here, you leave everything behind, you are a politician. So you guys tell us what is going on. Of course, we had a chance to get invited again and again to tell the committee, the parliamentary committee, what is going on down there. Because there's a lot of politicians, they speak negativities towards the key and vulnerable population, and this has been going on for quite some times now and distorts all of our programs. So we went there several times, and we're still going on to advocate, we're still going there to advocate issues relating to KVPs in Tanzania. Here you can see the pictures, the current head of prevention sitting with us on the picture and listening about what do we want to do more so that we can improve issues around there. So there are challenges, issues and challenges. I decided to group them into many groups. One is inadequate comprehensive programs. That is information awareness, and as well as referrals. Yeah, of course, we have these challenges relating to that on condoms, PrEP, PEP, HTC, STIs, and the other things relating to that. There's not enough education on what is going on. Most of the people are asking, what is going on? So what is our role to tell those people what is going on? Awareness, information is missing everywhere. Nowadays, there's a lot of stigma because of PrEP. If they find you with the PrEP, they say that, okay, you see, these are the medicine. These are the medicine for sex workers, MSM, and others. They don't think that they are also vulnerable people, because those KVP are not living in the island. They are our brothers, they are sisters, uncles, and everyone in there. So it's a bit challenge to see that there's low behavior clients seeking services, not only in urban, also in rural areas. Also, we have peer educators. Peer educators does not have a database of those hotspots, the real database. And because of some funding, sometimes they say that we have to do the mapping time to time, so we don't have funding to do that. Also, no refill of condom dispensers. We have a lot of condom dispensers in this country, everywhere, we have seen them. But when you go in that dispenser, there's no condom. No condom at all. So we're asking, where are they? I don't know who is taking, even maybe one person comes with a bag or something, taking all of it. We have to think about it. So preventive gears like condoms and PrEP be used as evidence by law enforcers. This is really bad. If I find you with a PrEP, condoms or whatever, I think for something else, that you are a criminal. Also, retention is not 100%. Retention is not 100% compared to implementing partners targeting maybe target mobility, target mobility nature, lower treatment literacy for KVP in rural and rural areas, stigma environment of KVP living in both urban and rural areas. Yeah, we are moving. We are moving, yes. Mobility nature of KVP. Today, I might be here in the evening, I might be in Pwani, or I might be somewhere else. If you ask me a question, but why? Myself, I don't know why am I moving. I don't have an answer. Sina jibu why na toka hapa naenda pale because of my vulnerability. So because of this, we find that there's a law, this mobility nature sometimes depends on lifestyle we are living, but we are facing eviction from residential premises. Yeah, we are facing this eviction. Also, we are facing there's safety and security issues, self-stigma, especially transgender, the way they look like, the way they appear to you, they are facing, they cannot even access other services. Also, low treatment literacy to the community. So we have structure barriers, as you can see, there's a lot of structure barriers of HIV services uptake among KVP communities. As you can, we are because of mobility, transfer referrals issue clients who have been retention. This was found during the supportive supervision. Also limited safety and security for peers. Peers have been facing a lot of issues. There's a need for safety and security training to peers, in particular for those offering index testing. We are aware about issues relating to index testing. Stigma and discrimination. Some of our healthcare workers are not KVP friendly, the extent that clients choose different facilities outside their areas where they're living. Sometimes they may shift even the region because of stigma, and it still is there. Unlawful arrests and ambush of FSW, female sex workers, MSM in the hotspots. You have already mapped your hotspots are there, but the ambush from maybe police officers, they might change your plan. So sometimes you should be flexible as much as you can. Using ARV and PrEP as by law enforcement as evidence, convicted the FSW, MSM transgender. I've quoted this. Hayatoeni mabigeno wote ona dawa zao hizi hapa. This happened in Iringa, I think. Yeah, it was in Iringa. The police entered their house where the ladies were in there, and they said, these are the sex workers. They said, okay, bring out your bags. If you are denying that you are a sex worker, bring out your bags. And they found them with the PrEP. PrEP, ARVs, and other prevention gears, etc. You see, these are the meds they are given. They are being given by their organizations. So this has been challenging. So we have some few recommendations to undertake comprehensive legal desk review with the inclusion of community and all multiple stakeholders from PURAG, Law Enforcement Unit, and Ministry of Legal Constitution, even increase the sensitization meeting. This is the sensitization meeting. We have to do it a lot. I know TACAIDS has been there. They were doing a lot of things relating to that, but still there's a problem. Linking KVPs with KVP with existing KVP toll-free report, gender-based incidents. Still, we have to work together on this, and implementing partners should collaborate with the KVP Forum in addressing these challenges when it occurs in their areas of implementation. Sometimes working with KVPs, some of their stakeholders, they are thinking that if they work with us, they will be taken as they are promoting something, like they are promoting homosexuality, like they are promoting like business of female sex workers. But I don't know, maybe they need to dig deep and think about how they can work together with us. Administer training on how to spot GBV, SOG, sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, and IPV to both peers, healthcare workers, to put in place a friendly system, also support GBV experienced team. KVP Forum to conduct a case study on law enforcement and harassment. Yeah, of course, there's a lot of harassments going on, so we are thinking, how are we going to get there? The 95 and the 3 zeros is a big challenge. Also, lastly, to sensitize all the identified key actors from PURAG, Law Enforcement Unit, and society. Issues relating to human rights issues, law interpretation, and gender-based violences, as sex workers are human beings before sex workers. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
A review of the experience with COVID-19 pandemic. The WHO African region came up with a program called African WHO Flagship Project. And this project is divided into 3 segments. The first one is PROS, which is about promoting resilience of systems for emergency. And the second one also talks about transforming African surveillance systems. The third one is about strengthening the capacity of countries in Africa to be able to respond timely and appropriately to emergencies, particularly pandemic outbreaks. There are strategies in place. So it's not that we don't have strategies in place, but what we have seen is that we are not implementing those strategies the way we ought to as a people. And not only even in African region, globally also there are challenges with countries that even have more capacity. Also, they have discovered that even while they have the capacity, but they are not as resilient as they ought to be. And now going to what have we learned from the recent pandemic outbreaks that we have had globally and also within the countries. The first thing that the world has discovered is that if we are not acting together, then we may not achieve the result that we desire, which is about solidarity. It is high time for the world to act together. And we as a people, I remember when our brother was talking the other time, he talked about the media. Everybody has to act together, because if we don't act together, definitely it will lead to the next one, which is about leaving someone behind. If we all don't act together, if the media are not acting together, if the people in the village are not part of our program, if the disabled, the less people are not part of our program, there is a possibility that we are going to leave someone behind, and then we will continue to suffer the consequences or the effect of pandemic outbreaks. And one thing that is very sure that we cannot run away from studies that was done in 2011 is that the world is likely bound to keep having series of pandemic outbreaks based on the changes that have been seen as per the pathogens in the last since 2011 or in the last 2 decades. So it is time for the world and all of us to act together and to ensure that we leave no one behind. And that is the slogan which we need not to just say in the mouth, we need to put it in practice. We that are in programs, if we are designing programs that does not incorporate everyone, then there is a likelihood that someone will be left behind. And that someone that will be left behind might be the one that will make you achieve the results that we might want to achieve as per taking us to the next level. Also, from the recent pandemics that we have had, we also discovered that while we have systems functional in some places, most of these health systems are not resilient. And what we mean by resilient, they are not as dynamic as we expect them to be. Also, most of these health systems that we have in many countries are designed to address what we probably call the primary health care, the basic health needs of people. So the orientation that most of the health systems that we have globally, including the developed society, is that they are there to respond to basic health needs of people. So now, WHO and partners have discovered that it is high time we begin to change the narrative and start building the orientation of our health systems and those who practice in the system to think of health security beyond basic primary health care provision to the population. Because when we encounter pandemic outbreaks, we don't pray that we have something close to COVID-19 in the nearest future, but nobody knows the future. And if you look at the situation we have today, if we have something close to COVID-19 as we had in 2020, there is likely that we may not get different results because the state of the health system is not as different from the way it was before. So we need to start changing the orientation and building our system to make them not just functional, but dynamic, with capacity tested, and easy to, with making them to have easy scalable and adaptable structure, so that in case there is any need to change the way they operate, it will not be difficult to scale it up and to adapt them to meet the health needs. Basically, or most importantly, the pandemic health needs. Also, the studies that have been done, or the outcome of various interaction reviews, shows that you may have a good system, you may have all the resources, but the resilience of the people also matters when it comes to how we survive in a pandemic outbreak situation. So we need people that are well informed and that are committed and that are also supported, and a population that are responsible for us to have a different outcomes when it comes to pandemic outbreak. Especially, though we don't pray for it, as I said, but nobody knows what can happen tomorrow. So we need to get our people informed that anything can happen, and while anything can happen, the way we subdue COVID-19, we can always subdue any pandemic that happen to us at any time. Also, one of the lessons that is learned is that while the animal health people are doing their own, the human health people are doing their own, the world has come to the point that all of us need to think together, reason together, because most of the pandemic outbreaks that have occurred in the last 20 years have linked to animals and livestock. And it is high time we that are working on human health to integrate much more closely with those who are working on animal health, for us to be able to do better when it comes to preparing for the next pandemics and responding better to the next pandemic. Also, one of the major lessons that was learned, even though the results varies from one region to the other, is that there was a reduced attention or neglect of other diseases that have been attended to in countries or other programs. And the communicable and non-communicable bodies were observed to have increased, are observed to always increase with pandemics. But when we look at some literature review on HIV, we discovered that from what literature review says that there was no increase of COVID-19 that is due to HIV. Also, result of whether the mortality or the outcome of care goes down or not also was unequivocal from one country to the other, which means that some countries did very well while some countries also perform poorly. A study on that has been conducted in Tanzania. I don't have the permission to speak because the report has just been submitted, but the result is also mixed, if I may summarize it like that, for Tanzania. While in some area of HIV care there was a positive side, in some area there was some good side. So which means that we did well in some, we didn't do well in the other area. But generally, pandemic outbreaks affect other health care because all the attentions were shifted or was shifted to COVID-19 and pandemics. And this is what usually happen with a major pandemics in countries that are affected. And also we discovered that the world and each country need at this time much more than before the political will and commitment of our leaders. We have been talking about resources, that it is time for Tanzania to commit more money to funding HIV program. It's not just only HIV program, so many, it is time for us to have our leaders be more committed to getting ourselves prepared and ready for every programs that we are actually participating in, including HIV program and including preparedness for the next pandemic. Because the more we depend on the foreign donors, the more the world will not be able to even address the preparedness challenges. And of course, while they attempt to solve their own problems, our own problem will remain, because it's not that we don't have the strategies, it's just because we are not committed. Our leaders are not, sometimes not well informed, so which means we that are in the technical session need to also, in addition to getting their way, we need to make them understand. Because some of the language we speak to them, we need to change our language and communicate with them in such a way that will make them to give more attention and be ready to commit more resources, more time to solving preparedness and readiness needs for the country. We are all aware that Sudan virus disease is very near to us, and if I may ask some of us here, what do you think, how ready are we in case we have something close to that in Tanzania today? Many of us may not be able to say much because we are not even aware of what is being done. But at this particular time, many citizens are supposed not to, it's not just to have the narrative of it is there. We should be prepared as a people. That's what we mean by resilient people must be informed and be well prepared and know that it can happen anywhere at any time. So getting the political will for our leader and the commitment of our leader is very important. And lastly, the evolution of science, technology, and innovations is a reality that we have seen with COVID-19, especially with the development of vaccine within 1 year, which has never happened in the history of the world. Though some have issues with that, but at least it's over 2 years down the line, and the studies are going on, and we have not seen much of we've had no significant strange outcome as per those who have received the COVID-19 vaccine globally. So which shows that science innovations have come to stay. And it is time for us as professionals to also think, innovate how we can wiggle our way around the challenges that our programs are facing, especially the HIV programs that we have. I saw when the presentation was going on that much progress has been made, but the remaining how do we move forward? It requires us to think and to innovate and see what we can do to get the result better. So what do we need to do differently? One, there is what we call the health system for health security. As I said earlier, our health systems, it is time for our health systems to start, for us to start changing the orientation of our health system practitioner to make them see health security as a responsibility of all. Until we begin to do that, if we have another major pandemic outbreak, we may not likely have a different result. So our health system model need to change in such a way that they also, all the health systems should be able to, the system should also focus on health security in addition to basic or primary health care. And it's a matter of, it's an approach that involves all of the society, all of ASAD, and all of the government. That is, at government at all levels, they have to be involved in this. Also, it is time for us to strengthen cross-cluster integration and the mainstreaming of our programs. You know, while the presentation was going on, while it may not be completely strange, for it was a key information that was passed. Personally, I'm not working in HIV program, but I work closely with those who are working in the HIV program. I work in the emergency preparedness. And it is a major information that was passed that despite much progress that has been made, the young population seems to be left behind. And these are information that should not only be for those who are running HIV programs. These are information that should also be passed to those who are running other programs. So it is time for us to, but when we were having a meeting, we had a meeting 2 weeks ago, and the HIV team presented on the burden of non-communicable diseases that is increasing following the HIV intervention. And we were looking at how can we cross-link emergency, communicable, because resources seems to be dwindling with HIV program and other program, while vaccination, emergency have resources with them. Is it not the time for us to see how we can bring all the programs together and utilize all the resources instead of one program having too much resources, while the other program is not having any resource or little resources? And then at the end of the day, we will not, all of us will still remain at the same spot, because if this one is making progress and the other one is down, definitely the other one that is down will pull down the one that is going up. So it is time for us also in HIV programs to think of working with those who are not directly in your programs, for you to get not only the resources, but for them to also have the information that they need to be able to align their own planning to respond and make the success of your own program. Also, countries are not conducting risk assessment as they ought to do. And it is time for us also to have, I presume we have the plan, but in our programs, it is time to also start thinking, in case we have something close to COVID-19, what can we do differently? We don't need to wait till when COVID-19 happens again, because before we have a contingency plan, even for HIV program, for the next pandemic, because anything can happen in the current world that we have. And also, we need to also strengthen the support the strengthening of the surveillance system, particularly the event-based surveillance, which will help us to identify outbreaks early within the community. And also, we talk about the global solidarity and building stronger solidarity around data. And this is very, very, very important. Many countries all over the world are not transparent enough with their data. Why? Because of some of the experiences that have been seen in the recent years. And it is time for us as the technical team, while we want transparency to take place, it is also, there is a need for everybody to work together to ensure that data are managed and the integrity of data are preserved. And also the communication around data by partners and by countries should revolve solidarity. What am I saying? Last year, when the Omicron, one of the Omicron variants came out, South Africa made an announcement of an outbreak of a particular variant in their country, and the reaction to that transparent action from South Africa was not good enough, which shows that the next neighbor or the next country that may have the next variant may not likely say anything. And that is why since that time we have not had much of any variant again, because the world also needs to build solidarity, not just in the treatment, not just in providing vaccine, also in solidarity around the data and how the world responds to the data that are given by transparent countries. And also, as I close, it is time for us to also improve the implementation of IHR 2005. WHO and partners, member states are working hard to review this and to strengthen this framework, the framework of this regulation, so that countries can be more responsive and we will not, so that we will not have the kind of experience we had in 2019-2020 that was controversial, and the controversy is still until today, how COVID-19 came up. We need a transparent world whereby if I am safe, you are safe. If you are safe, I am safe. We need to keep ourselves safe. And lastly, it is time for us to strengthen and utilize science and research and innovation to solve our problem. The world is changing, and we all need to agree and respond to the changing world. With COVID-19 and the threat from pandemic outbreaks, we all need to act fast, differently, timely, and it is time to invest in preparedness. When we prepare better, we respond better, and we save more lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ayeni, for a very good presentation on emergency preparedness. I'm sure you have enlightened a lot of us about what is going on and how we need to be well prepared. We will allow 2 comments or questions to Mr. Ayeni before we can go to the next presentation. Karibu Matthew, and then there's another.
Thank you. Mine is not a question. I'm impressed by the comment that we don't just need political will, but also the commitment. But I would add that we need to go further and talk about follow-up of implementation of actions against the commitments which are made. If I take an example of the AIDS Trust Fund, the government is committing money almost every year since the establishment of the ATF in 2015. But the trend in terms of the amount which is committed and the amount which is allocated and the one which is used to implement the interventions is diminishing since 2015. So it's not just commitment, but I would also advise that we put strategies to monitor and implement the commitments in terms of, for example, the allocation of resources. Thank you.
I'm so much impressed with your presentation, and I would just love to comment that your presentation can be one of the areas that we can identify to develop our advocacy plan for our community members so that we can be able to strengthen the systems. Yeah.
Last comments or question? Seems there's none. There's one here. Please identify yourself before you speak.
Okay, my name is Michael, coming from KVP Forum. I just want to understand more of, I wish you could talk more about strengthening cross-clusters integration. Interclusters, what does that mean?
Yes, thank you very much. I think I can proceed to respond. Yes. You know, what is meant by strengthening cross-cluster integration and mainstreaming is, as we hear, and most of us that are here, we work mostly around HIV programs, which is communicable disease. But the effect of our intervention is linking to non-communicable, is directing us now to think of non-communicable diseases. And it was said by one of the presenters, which is a fact, that while people are not dying from HIV, or the proportion of death from HIV is reducing, but the burden of non-communicable diseases seems to be increasing. And it is time for, when HIV programmers are designing their program, it is time to think of the effect of their intervention on the population. While the scientists are evolving way out of improving the quality of intervention and the outcome, but the reality on ground is that the burden from the non-communicable diseases seems to be increasing. So you can't just be intervening, saving lives, whereas the same people are likely going to die of other consequences. So your thought should also you should start thinking, how do you don't just think, you work, you design your program in conjunction with those who are not directly working on your own programs. I also said that some programs have enough resources, while your own program might not have enough resources. Also, some programs don't have access to some of the information which they will need to plan. And the quality of their plan will also have impact. Because if I am aware now as a preparedness officer that more young adults are not making progress, when I'm doing my preparedness, emergency preparedness planning, I will also take note, because these are also vulnerable people in the population. So I will also take cognizance of that fact while we are recruiting or while we are designing some program and put them. So, but if I don't have those facts, I will just see those population as the normal population. So there are some of these, there should be exchange of data, exchange of information, and the programming should work together to achieve better results, better outcome for the population. So that is what intercluster strengthening is all about. And also, for example, also, those who are working on disability, they are usually under non-communicable diseases. It is time to also mainstream many of them into our programs. Every program should work closely together, not in silos. It is time for everybody to work together, share data together, share resources together, and then donors have their priority. But sometimes the priority, most of the time, does not immediately reflect the needs in the community. So we that are in charge of program, when we have flexible fund, we can, for example, now COVID vaccination funding is a bit flexible. So we are encouraging those who are in that program to support those who are not, the funding that are, the program that are having challenges with fund, non-communicable and others, so that those burdens can be resolved together and we all make progress together. So these are what we are saying. Everybody needs to work together to achieve better results. We can't, if one is down, you can't prepare better. It is not possible. You can't have the best of preparation.
From NACP, he will present on the latest innovative treatment updates in Tanzania. Welcome, Dr. Makaora. The floor is yours. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you very much. I'll give a very short, concise presentation on latest innovative treatment updates in Tanzania. My name again is Wena Makola. I was representing the program, but my full-time portfolio is leading the strategic information unit within the National Health Control Program. So my presentation is based on, I'll give HIV status as of June 2022, and HIV treatment advances, including test and treat, same-day initiation, advanced HIV disease, DTG, ART optimization, and I'll finish with the HIV treatment monitoring. So I think you're all familiar with the map. This map shows HIV prevalence by region from Tanzania HIV Impact Survey of 2016. You would agree with me, we have regional differences, and we are soon getting new updates on the prevalence. This is from population-based survey. It's not from our data. From the program. So, as of June 2022, we have 6,000, close to 7,000 health facilities offering HIV care and treatment service, and estimated PLHIV from the modeling spectrum is 1.7 million. Those who are currently on ART was 1.5 million. And the first 95 was close to 92, the second one was 99, and HIV viral load was suppression. And this is from those facilities with electronic database and excluding those without an electronic database. But they almost reflect the reality because it's close to 95% of all the clients we have are on this database. So regarding, I've chosen only some of the interventions. One is test and treat. We all know we started in 2017. If you are found to be positive, regardless of the CD4 and the other criteria which were used before, you kept on ART. The other intervention we started is same-day initiation, and in our context, same-day initiation means it's ART within 7 days of enrollment into HIV care and treatment. And we also have multi-month dispensing. We either have 3 months or 6 months, depends on the different parameters, including availability of drugs. So the graph actually shows how we have been flaring from 2021 to 2022. You would realize we have up to 95% of our people getting same-day initiation. So we are close to 100% of all VHIVs enrolled in care starting treatment within 7 days of the enrollment into the clinic. I think this is a very big achievement. The other thing I would like to mention is about advanced HIV disease. We know we have adopted a categorization of clients into early disease and advanced by using certain criteria. And if you are found to have advanced HIV disease, you should get this battery of services, including screening for HIV, for TB, sorry, providing TB preventive therapy, and taking care of cryptococcal disease, cotrimoxazole, and other risk counseling. So if you look at the graph there, shows about TB preventive therapy, how we are flaring, and you'll see the numbers there are encouraging. So that's the progress in that area. The other thing I wanted to share with you is ART optimization, and this means keeping patients on potent medication. And in this way, in this aspect, I'll talk about DTG. DTG 50 for adults and adolescents, and the DTG 10 for pediatrics. And we know the advantages of adopting DTG, and one of them is tolerability compared to lopinavir, boosted lopinavir, because before this we were using boosted lopinavir for children, and it was not very friendly, and some of you may remember they had to crush tablets, put them in the food, and it was very cumbersome. But for DTG10, which started in June 2022, it's dispensable. You put it in water, and it's very palatable, it's sweet, and the children will like it. Again, DTG is less toxic. It has a good genetic barrier to prevent from mutation for the mycobacteria, or for the virus, sorry. So if you look at how we have moved our clients from those old regimen into DTG-based regimen, you see we are close to 100%, but we still have, for adults, for example, we still have people on TLE, which was a prevalence-based regimen, because some of them refused to go into DTG, and especially for pregnant women and childbearing women, because of the, at first it was said that DTG is not good for childbearing women. And some of them diabetes or any other metabolic disease which may be worsened by DTG. So they are still on old regimen, but most of them have shifted into this regimen we think is very potent and is efficacious. Lastly, about HIV treatment monitoring, I would like to speak about HIV viral load. This is data April 2022, May 2022, and June 2022. So this is coverage, coverage in the sense that among those who are due to HIV viral load testing, how many have tested for it. So we see the proportion is going up. And the picture on the right there is a gene expert machine. Here I wanted to tell the audience that we have this opportunity to use gene expert as a point of care machine, but those who are close to HIV viral load monitoring would agree with me. This innovative approach is underutilized because some of us may say because they were deported, they were placed for TB services. Now the HIV guys can't use them. They are all over the country. We can supply the right cartridges for people to do the viral load, but things are not happening the way we wanted to. So this is an opportunity, but it's not tapped. About another method of treatment monitoring is HIV drug resistance. We are doing everything to prevent our drugs from being not effective by preventing the virus becoming resistant to treatment. So one of the methods we are using is enhanced adherence and counseling for those who have indication, those who are found to have viremia, more than 1,000 copies. They undergo enhanced adherence and counseling, and then repeat the viral load, and they are managed according to the second reading. The other measure is early warning indicators. These are a set of indicators in our routine services which may give a signal to us regarding the potential of increasing drug resistance. So we have a number of them, including missed appointments, lost to follow-up, if people are not coming to clinics, and there are several indicators which are showing, but if you can't do surveys on drug resistance, it helps countries to give them alarm that we are not doing well. But also we switch or substitute ARVs, and the standard would be for any person who is found to have high viremia to do genotype, to do molecular tests to see if the virus is resistant to as a mutation. But because we are limited in terms of resources, as of now, only those who fail for the second line ART treatment are undergoing genotyping. For those who are failing the first line, we only do enhanced adherence and counseling, do a second HBL, and still if the test shows high viremia, the patient is shifted into second line. So once you fail the second line, then only can we do genotype to see if there is a resistance. So, but the ideal would be any viremia is followed by genotype, but we are limited. The other thing I wanted to share with you as a progress is availability of INSTI primers for carrying out resistance. INSTI drugs, a class of drugs in which DTG is belonging. So we didn't have these primers for doing drug resistance. We now have it, and we will monitor our DTG, because DTG is also used for second line. So once we have mutation for drugs, we depend on disasters may be with us. So the other insight I wanted to share here is We have a third line court. We have established a court of those who have been shifted into third line to follow up over time to see what is happening. So with those few highlights, I think I've come into the end of my presentation, and thank you very much for your attention, and I welcome for sharing your experiences and on how we can further improve on this. Asanteni sana.
Thank you. Good afternoon once again. I will take you through experiences from field on how we care for adolescents and pediatric in HIV care and treatment. Experiences will be from Pwani and Kigoma regions. A bit about THPS. We are a non-government organization working with the Ministry of Health and PRH, and Ministry of Home Affairs and Ministry of Health in Zanzibar. We implement a number of activities and interventions. We have projects called Afya Tour in Shinyanga, Pwani, and Kigoma. We have police and prison activities for the police and prison facilities. We have also Uhuru, implementing HIV, TB, and family planning. And in summary, we implement a number of activities as shown there. Coming to the topic now, activities about how we enhance the quality of ART services to adolescents and children. We have a number of interventions to make sure that we provide friendly services to our adolescents in HIV care and treatment facilities we support. One, we have 111 adolescent clubs. We do step-by-step disclosure counseling, attachment of children with high viral load as Wateja Marafiki. This is extended LCM for 180 days. We do home visits for adherence follow-up. We do pairing for children and adolescents with high viral load. We also support sports and games during clinic visits, refreshments during clinics and clubs. We support overtime allowances, and we also collaborate with the chief to ensure that children are there and they are retained on treatment. So let's see now best practices from Kigoma and Pwani, as I've said, to start with Mkuranga District Hospital. Mkuranga District Hospital is in Pwani region. For a background, in 2010, Mkuranga District Hospital started to see that adolescents and children who are receiving services in their facility are getting challenges in retention and adherence. Among 80 adolescents who were enrolled, only 23 were currently on care. So they decided to implement age-specific friendly services by categorizing them in age groups of 0 to 6, 7 to 11, and 12 to 19. And they saw that the most affected group is adolescents. So there were additional activities like family days, bonanza, a trip to Mikumi, graduation ceremonies for those who complete Form 4, annual camps, and gifts for performance in behavior and adherence. For sure, this made adolescents to love going to clinics and improved in academic performance. Achievements to date, in Mkuranga District, they are celebrating 6 adolescents who got married and have HIV-free children. They have 14 who have completed vocation training at VETA, 1 male adolescent studying law in Mzumbe, and they have 3 who have just finished from 6 and JKT course at Ruvu JKT and the other JKT sports. They are enrolled in Mzumbe, as I've said, Bachelor of Arts in Administration. Other is in TIA, and the one has got admission in CBE. The club also has a project to sell drinks at the CTC on monthly basis. The funds were raised between parents so that they can support their children during clinic visits. Those are the pictures of our champions during Ruvu JDT graduations. And on the right side, you can see also DMO at Mkuranga decided to congratulate them at Mkuranga District Hospital. So we can see on our left, on my left, they are champions at JKT. And on my right, we can see the ceremony at Mkuranga District Hospital. Now let's see about Sunuka Dispensary. Sunuka Dispensary is located in Kigoma. This is how we address high viral load among children and adolescents through home visits. We have a number of activities implemented, a number of good interventions, but what is happening at home is a bit different. So a case of Sunuka, a 2-year-old female child, was started on ART in 2021, and she initially started in with 1 NP. Her body weight was 11.5 kgs. But in 22, she was switched to 1 pp, and her first viral test was taken in June this year, and she had high viral load and was immediately started on EIC. What was done, the progress of the child seems to be not going very well, so our team decided to plan for a home visit together with CTC team. During home visit, 2 gaps were observed. 1, there was underdosing administered to a child. The child was given only ABC and 3TC, and DTG was not given to the child. But worse enough, even the insufficient dose was not given daily. So what was done? The interventions is 1, counseling was done to the family to know how to mix, the importance of giving full dose to the child first, and the demonstration on how to give drugs, the ABC 3TC together with DTG. Then the family was attached to peer educator and 1 staff for close follow-up, especially during the time of giving drugs to the child. And the EAC was extended to October. The results were, the second test will be done in November, the second HVL test, and currently the child is progressing well, and she has gained 16 kgs. This is Uvinza now dispensary, and we have another child, a female aged 1.6 months, living in Peta village, and was started on ART in 2021 with 1 NP, and she has only 6 kgs. In January 2022, this year, the result of high viral load, she had high viral load, and the EAC was done, but was not successful. So the second test, the result was higher than the first test. So what was done? The team also decided to go for a home visit to see what is happening at home. What are the gaps which were observed? Knowledge gap on mixing ritonavir and granules. A big knowledge gap among the caretakers. Vomiting, the child was vomiting, and no second attempt was done after vomiting. So counseling was done as well to the caretaker, especially the mother, demonstration on how to mix the drug, and the team provided some maize flour and sugar so that a mother can make some porridge to mix with the drugs. Also, the family was attached to a community peer educator and 1 CTC staff for follow-up. Surprisingly, results after completion of EAC, In July 2022, repeated TDL test was done and the child suppressed. And in August 2022, the regimen was changed to 1 pp and the child is now 11.5 kgs, healthy and happy. Okay, last story is from Nguruka Health Center. Nguruka Health Center is also in Kigoma. This is all about ending treatment interruptions among adolescents and addressing high viral load. This is about a 12-year-old boy living in Muganza village, just a few kilometers from Nguruka Health Center. He was adopted by his uncle after the death of his parents when he had 5 years. He was transferred to Nguruka. The parents were living in Bukoba, so the uncle decided to take care of him. He was enrolled or transferred in Nguruka and started with 1B and then changed to 1MP in June 2019. Challenges started. Stigma. High level of stigma was experienced by the boy from the family. And the big fear among the family was that the child will infect the whole family. Especially the aunt was avoiding infection to her children. So as a result, the boy stopped ART and absconded from home. He decided to go into streets. What was done? Tracing was done by peer educators. After he was lost to follow-up at clinic now, and he was found at Muganza market. So joint home visit by CTC staff, village leaders, THPS and this social welfare was done to this family of the uncle. Health education was provided, especially on stigma, prayers for reunion of the family, counseling. They successfully brought back the family together and they agreed to take care of the boy. The results are promising. On May 2022, he was restarted on ART again, but he had high viral load. He was changed to ABC 3TC and D50 on July 2022. He successfully completed EAC on 16th September and will be taken second test in this month, 24th of October, but we hope for the best. The boy had 20 kgs back in June, but now he has gained 27 kgs and he is happy living with the family. The picture on our right, I think, you can see the family reunion. The boy is that one with this one. The boy is this one from streets of Muganza back to the family. And he is now happy, enjoying family life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Noella. Thank you, Ms. Noera. So now we invite 1 or 2 burning questions before we move on to the next session. I can see 2 hands up. I'll start with the gentleman in front. Sorry, I cannot know your name at the moment. And remember to introduce yourself as you ask your question, name and your organization.
All right. Thank you very much. My name is Ariel. I'm the Vice Chair of the KVP Forum. My question is on the presentation you made. First of all, good presentation. So my question is, you had something about step-by-step age-specific disclosure to the caretaker. I was wondering how that looks like. If you would please explain it more. And another question is, I kept seeing the word EAC and I never understood what that means, East African Community or what that is. So would you please say something about that. Last question. From the last presentation on the boy who was found, yes, that one. You said there the boy had 20 kilograms and now he has 27 kilograms. But if you look at the story, he was actually marginalized for being HIV positive. Have you had a one-on-one session, not as a family, but a one-on-one session with that boy to see if he is still being mistreated in that household? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The first question about step-by-step disclosure. This is step-by disclosure. I can define it as a gradual, as it stands to be step-by-step disclosure. This is to disclose HIV status to a child from the age of 4 gradually to the age of 10. So we start at the age of 4, depending on the cognitive, the understanding, and the ability of the child to take in information. So at the age of 4, we start with Ascari. I can see Ascari and CD4s in the body. We term them Ascari, and then we term HIV as Mdudumbaya. So the child will grow up with the concept of having Ascari in the body and then Mdudumbaya. So according as time goes, the child will develop questions. So the questions will be guiding us on further disclosure to the child. So we'll, at the certain age, according to the development of the child, we will now state who are Ascaris and what is Mdudumbaya. And then the information about HIV or living with HIV will be disclosed to the child in collaboration with the healthcare provider, but upon parents' consent as they see the child, and they will be discussing the outcome of the disclosure if the child will now know that I am living with HIV. So step-by-step disclosure depends on cognitive development of the child, questions from the child, willingness of the parents. Just to summarize that. About EAC, EAC is Enhanced Adherence Counseling. This is a type of counseling given to people living with HIV, recipients of care who have high viral loads. It is given in 3 consecutive months, and evaluation is done in the last month. If there is any changes in the challenges which were notified in the previous session, the patient or the recipient of care will be taken a second viral load. If the challenges still persist, we will extend the enhanced adherence counseling. The third question about the boy. After the tracing, the boy had one-on-one counseling. That is when he said all about what is happening at home. The peer educator who traced the boy in the streets was very friendly and is still friendly to the boy. And the boy was able to tell him what is going on at home. So that was like an entry point to the family. So one-on-one and to the boy. Thank you for the question.
I can see there was one final question, Barney, at the back there.
Good afternoon, Ms. Mudale Martin Chonta from Zambia. I'm a 3C consultant. Earlier on in the morning, we heard from, I think it is Robert's presentation, about young girls who are raided by the police, and when they are found with ARTs, they are then arrested. I noticed in your presentation, which is a very good presentation by the way, that you do work with Ministry of Home Affairs, and in specific you mentioned the police and the prisoners. Are there any strategies that you can implement to prevent such criminalities? Thank you.
Thank you for a very nice question. For the police and prison activity, it's to be specific, it is a project which is implemented in facilities under police and prison. That is the project. What can we do to make the police not harass the recipients of care? The Ministry of Home Affairs, we work with them because we support their facilities in HIV care and treatment. Talking to the police and the police force about not harassing, it is a very gradual process, but I think as a team or everyone in the meeting, upon his or position, as I can see, there are people from the ministry, there are people from non-government organization. That sensitization can be done, but it is not a one thing or one person can say, tomorrow I will go to talk to the police force to reduce harassing. It is a step by step and it needs to follow some procedures to be taken. But I think everyone has taken it in board, and if you have that, have that opportunity, you can sensitize about that. But it is true, some are affected. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Noella.